I'll read back a little bit. The pilot smiled and said, I'm fine. Oh, yeah. The Muslim cop ignored his chopper partner's question and said, I don't know about you, but you don't look very good. What do you mean? Asked the pilot. You look like you're having a heart attack, said the Muslim cop. The pilot smiled and said, I'm fine. I just have a lot on my mind, being that Sheriff Jamal is having us take a suspect back like this. The Muslim cop said, no, seriously, I think you're having a heart attack. The Muslim cop asked in Arabic, don't you think so, brother? Why did you tell him? Just making sure my brother is more comfortable, said the Muslim cop with a smile. He's your brother? What? Allahu Akbar, shouted the Muslim cop, and he shot the non-Muslim cop in the chest. The helicopter began to take a dive. I told you you were having a heart attack, smiled the Muslim cop as he watched the pilot die. Allahu Akbar, shouted the Yesua Yasir, as if in compulsion, feeling as though he was going to die. The behavior of the police helicopter kicked up the interest of the two reporters in the media chopper, making them decide to make that their next story as the police chopper looked out of control and headed for the canyon river below. Right when it was about 100 feet from hitting the water, the helicopter got control, flew up out of the canyon, and still continued in the direction of the police station. The Muslim cop looked at Yeshua and said, Brother, I'm calling Sheriff Jamal and the brothers on my secret cell phone to let them know that I'll need some backup. I'll be taking you to the field of prayer on the outskirts of the town. When I land, you run directly for a cop car that will be sure to await you. I'll act like you knocked me out and took control when I land there, okay? Will they believe you? Asked Yasir with a feeling of excitement. They will be considered haters if they don't believe my story, smiled the Muslim cop as he steered the chopper. Suddenly Yasir and the Muslim cop noticed that the media chopper was following them. The Muslim cop said, Maybe I can obey Quran 911, 38, 39 myself now, brother. I bet not one of those in that helicopter will ever submit to Allah. Not one of them will ever be an innocent. If you die with me, you should go straight to Jannah, being that you have passed Allah's test this morning by having strong enough to make such a leap of faith into the canyon to kill the renegades in faith. Yeshua Yasir then said with some fear in his voice, If they see you piloting this thing, it will be over for you, brother. I don't see. I don't know if even the legislation against haters bill will help you. If you are locked up, how can you fight and die in Allah's cause? So the media copter was close enough to see that the non-Muslim cop was dead. The Muslim cop mimed to make them believe he had a heart attack. Seeing that it wasn't making them leave, the non-Muslim cop then said, There are always non-Muslims in prison, brother. But I'd rather go out with a beautiful sunrise to greet me into Jannah. Which means it's now or never as long as those kafir pigs are following me. How about we try for Jannah now? Please do, brother, said Yasir with a look of excitement in his eyes. I'm ready to have a palm tree-sized penis. The Muslim cop excitedly called his fellows at the mosque and told them where to meet them if he wasn't successful in bringing down the media chopper that was following him. Get there as soon as possible. I've got a surprise for you, said the Muslim cop with excitement in his voice. Is Brother Yasir with you, Abdullah? Asked Sheriff Jamal over the phone. Yes, said the Muslim cop officer Abdullah, but he doesn't have the flash drive. Well, said Jamal, we'll hide him until further orders from Sheikh Mustafa, said Sheriff Jamal. When they hung up, When they hung up, the Muslim cop named Abdullah looked back at Yasir and said, "Get ready for a fun ride, brother." Suddenly, down in the town of Twin Falls, Idaho, those who were outside couldn't believe what they were witnessing, as a police helicopter looked as if it was trying to ram the news chopper. The pilot of the news chopper fought with horrified desperation to duck and dodge the deadly blades of the police chopper, even trying to dodge it by hiding behind a newly built high-rise. But the Muslim cop was just too great at steering a helicopter that was much more advanced in technology. With looks of unbelief, the citizens of Twin Falls watched the news chopper spinning wildly out of control due to the back of its tail being sheared off when it tried to flee the city and make it out of the area. It exploded onto a building below instead. "Allahu Akbar," cheered Yasser and the Muslim cop as they flew the helicopter to a place where Sheriff Jamal and brothers would find them. Before Yasser knew it, he was in the place brother Abdullah said he'd be picked up from. The Muslim cop said as Yasser ran to a hiding place, "Maybe next time we will die in Allah's cause together." As he waited for his brothers in blue to arrive and take his dead partner out of the helicopter. Oh, and he waited for his brothers in blue to arrive and take his dead partner out of the helicopter. "Make sure the pig has brother Muhammad Aziz perform the autopsy, or we will be screwed," said Officer Abdullah. And he flew the helicopter out over the town and over the Snake River Canyon for some sightseeing, reciting Quran 9:38, 39, and 111 with a smile on his face. Back on Highway 6, Highway 6, Daniel and Sally were stopped on the side of the road observing a Kenworth that was parked a quarter of a mile from them. A little bit of movement was seen from it, as if more than one person was walking about within it. Daniel looked over at Sally and asked, "I wonder what they are waiting for." Daniel suddenly got an idea. He started digging around where the Pikachu doll was and began looking for something. "Are you going for a gun?" asked Sally. "No," said Daniel. "I'm looking for something far more destructive to Islam than any form of violence." Daniel found what he was looking for, held it up, and said, "A recording device." Sally saw that it was a digital video camera. Daniel turned it on, observed it, and said, "Great. It has most of its gig and the batteries are charged." He then gave it to Sally and said, "Like most of my latest debates with Muslims, if I survive this thing is going on onto YouTube, if I can debate them here. If you can, just press that button on the top twice every 10 minutes. That way the videos aren't too long for my video accounts." Daniel looked at the Kenworth down the road that was awaiting him. He then picked up his CB microphone, looked at Sally and asked, "Lights? Camera?" Sally asked, "Action?" "Action," said Daniel. He then said to the camera, "I've battled with Muslims many times on the internet, in the war of ideas, philosophy, religion, and theology, using a Socratic method of attack on Islam. I really don't know if I made any headway with them in type, but maybe, God willing, if I can possibly get them thinking here, with my voice, about what they believe in, well, maybe my head won't end up sitting on my patootie, if you know what I mean." There was a pause. Daniel pointed at Sally and asked, "Is it recording?" Sally nodded for yes. "Well, here goes nothing," said Daniel as he said a little prayer before trying to talk death out of killing him. Looking back at the black Kenworth down the road, he pulled up the CB mic and asked, "Are you waiting for me to pass by so you can blow my face off, or are you planning to see which is stronger, a Kenworth or a Peterbilt when ramming at each other?" Sally pointed the camera at the Kenworth down the road, treating it as if it were going to chalk. "Have you raped the girl yet?" asked an Arabic accented voice over the CB. Daniel looked at Sally and said, "If I have, then she seems to be the happiest, healthiest looking corpse I've ever seen." Yeah. Have you raped and he asked, "Have you raped and killed the girl yet?" Yeah. Yeah. "If I have, then she seems to be the happiest, healthiest looking corpse I've ever seen." "No, he hasn't touched me," said Sally at the CB microphone. Daniel then said, "Did you think that was me doing a girl voice to disprove the Quranic teaching that kafirs are evil and only want to rape and kill women who don't put on a beekeeper outfit? Don't put on beekeeper outfits?" There was a pause from the voice that Daniel and Sally took as coming from the black Kenworth down the road. A voice over the CB came in and said, "Surah 4, 101. The unbelievers are unto you open enemies." "That's what the clear signs say, all right," said Daniel. "But the same book you quoted from basically says sperm is formed between the ribs and backbone. Tell us something from the Quran that is actually true about non-Muslims for a change, okay?" The voice then said, "He is trying to corrupt you, Afifa." Surah 4, verse 89. Quote, "They but wish that ye should reject faith, as they do, and thus be on the same footing as they. So take not friends from their ranks until they flee in the way of God, from what is forbidden." Daniel fired back with, "I noticed you didn't go further with that scripture that then says, 'But if they turn renegades, seize them and slay them wherever you find them. And in any case, take no friends or helpers from their ranks, unless, according to Quran 328, you really don't mean to by guarding yourselves against unbelievers." Daniel then looked at Sally and asked in a near whisper, "I bet you don't find that as creepy from the Quran, do you?" Sally was afraid to say anything. She looked fearful at the CB as she trembled to what might befall her if those in the Kenworth heard her agreeing with Daniel and thought her to be renegade in the faith. The voice then said over the CB, "Surah 3, 118. O ye who believe, take not into your intimacy those outside your ranks. They will not fail to corrupt you. Are you now corrupted by Daniel Kabashi, Afifa?" Daniel said into the microphone, "If thinking is corruption, then, well, maybe she is." The voice continued with, "They only desire your ruin. Rank hatred has already appeared from their mouths. What their hearts conceal is far worse. We have made plain to you the signs, if you have wisdom." Daniel looked at Sally and asked as he talked into the CB to the Muslims awaiting him, "Has rank hatred already appeared from my mouth? Be truthful now. Has it? Do you really think my heart conceals something far worse? Is it plain to you, as the clear signs say?" Sally looked like she was struggling to find words to answer, fearing again the thought of being heard over the CB, visions of herself being raped and killed following. Daniel then said to Sally, "You don't have to answer.